one. So, Shawn, you were talking about a movie that has three Oscars, man. I mean, three
Precious.
Oscars. I think part of what I understand, and this is just me sharing my opinion, right? I think that for years we've had the Image Awards, NAACP Image Awards. We've had the Tree of Life Award, which is an award that maybe 97% of people have never heard of. I created the Black Reel Awards because I thought, and several years later, you created AFCA, right? AFCA Awards. I think that we need to build institutions that are respected by our own. We need to have things that our own understands in a way. And that's all I'm saying. So that's my purpose behind what I created. The Oscars are good, man, but I've studied the history of Oscar and having an Oscar, I mean, it means something to a huge segment of people, but what does it really mean to have an Oscar?
No, it means a lot. But let's go back to the first point you said. No, I believe that yes, as Black people, we do need to create our own, but it has to be created in a way that there's some credibility to it. Like I understand the intentions of the NAACP Image Awards, but because I know who votes for those, right. Man, that's bad business, man. The NAACP Image Awards are garbage. I mean, their intent is great, but if you look at what they nominate and what they award, come on, press pause on that. Like, I don't know. Just because it's Black doesn't mean it's serving the right purpose. That's all I'm saying. Man. There's some questionability behind the Image Awards. The intent is there, but knowing who votes and how they vote for that is just like, because how many professionals, I don't know. I mean, like you said, there's flaws with the Oscars, but the whole point is that, Precious won 3 Oscars. So it broke through some sort of way. And
yeah.
I believe
but here's my issue with Precious, right?
You can't knock what it won the Oscars for, though.
No. But let me just say this.
It's not like BAPS won 3 Oscars.
Well, that would be a miscarriage of justice too. But it's hard out here for a pimp won an Oscar.
That's bad. I didn't say that was good. That's bad.
I'm just saying. But I'm saying a lot of times, Shawn, what my issue with Oscar is that the films that we feel proud of are not the films that mainstream Oscar wants to reward those types of performances.
Okay, what film do you feel proud about that should have won other than The Color Purple getting snubbed and going 0 for 11?
Well, to be perfectly honest, man, I can name a couple for you. 1992. I understand that Al Pacino had been nominated 6 times and it never won. It's no way you can ever convince me to my last breath that Denzel Washington and Malcolm X wasn't better than Al Pacino in Sin of a Woman. So that's number one.
Okay, that's a good one. Although I have a lot of problems with Malcolm X. I like the movie, but
I'm talking about Denzel's performance, though, Shawn.
He did get nominated, and I would have much preferred him win for Malcolm X than Training Day, because I have huge problems with the Training Day.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the other thing. Halle Berry winning for Monsters Ball. Shawn?
I don't have a problem with that.
I did, man. Come on, man.
What was the problem with it, though? If you take the 2 sex scenes that are in the movie, what's the problem with the role?
If you take the 2 sex scenes with the movie. If my uncle didn't have hit that equipment, he'd be my aunt. If.
But still,
that's a small if.
There's much more problematic wins than the Halle Berry one doesn't. The Halle Berry one doesn't bother me as much.
Okay, I'll go back several decades.
I think in both cases we're looking at they were makeup Oscars, and then that's something that the Oscar has done in a lot of times. Is
the Denzel Training Day was definitely a makeup Oscar, so that's a different conversation.
I'll go back several decades, Shawn. Okay. Sidney Poitier winning an Oscar for Lilies of the Field, taking out Paul Newman for HUD in 1963.
I don't have a problem with that one either.
Oh, man, really? Come on, man. He could have, what he should have won an Oscar for, several movies actually, Raising the
But you
Sun, he was much
But
better.
Raising the Sun year was a tough year. So I get that. You can't take these out of context. Now you got also like who are they up? You got to factor in who are they up again? What was going on?
67, he didn't even get nominated in a year with Spencer Tracy. What was his name from The Heat of the Night? Rod Steiger. I mean, Portier didn't even get a nomination, and he was the star of three seminal films of six in that 1 year.
No. Yeah, he was. He got robbed for that one. But I mean, we're drifting away from the initial point though.
Right.
We talked about Precious won 3 Oscars, and I said, well, what black films have won Oscars that you don't feel deserve to win those Oscars? Like saying who should have won is a whole different conversation, because then you get into the 1967 with Sidney Poitier, then you get into the whole 1973 with Diane Curl and Diana Ross when they both got nominated. Spike Lee not even getting nominated for Do the Right Thing. I mean, that's an easy one. But which film won Oscar? What black movies won Oscars that you felt weren't deserved? That you would take away?
I named Halle. I had issues with Training Day. I thought he would win because it was
Training Day was bad. But
I'm just saying it was just so different from what he had done. I think it's more of that than anything else. I mean, Denzel is Denzel in every role, and he's going to be solid. Flight, he got robbed. He should have been nominated that year. But I'm not answering your question. I know. I gave you a couple of instances, and you was like, I don't have a problem.
No, you said the only one you gave me was Halle Berry. You said you didn't think she should have had it. But I mean, the 3 Oscars that Precious won were well-deserved Oscars. Like, why would it? Those aren't bad. Those weren't bad wins. The Denzel Training Day is a bad win.
Well, what I will say is that the Oscars has shown us consistently over the last 10 to 15 years that they don't have problems giving African-American women Best Supporting Actor Oscars. I mean, you've seen Jennifer Hudson, you've seen Octavia Spencer, Viola Davis. I mean, all of those. But I'm just saying, what about
the lack of black women winning Best Actress is not the Academy's fault. There's whole years where, like, how many quality leading roles were black women in last year? Not that many.
Last
Who would you
year
even nominated? Like, that's not the Academy's fault. Who would name a leading role by a black woman in a film in the last couple of years that would have been even credible to be in the Oscar conversation? There just haven't been that many.
Would you have counted J-Lo from Hustlers?
But I wouldn't count her as black. She's Hispanic.
Okay.
I mean,
other than that, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, so how is that there? I mean, this Oscar so white conversation gets a little misguided at times because, like, look at this year, just so you don't have to think back so far. How many movies this year have starred a black woman in a leading role that can truthfully, potentially be in the Oscar conversation? I mean, Nicole Beharie was great in Miss Juneteenth, but if you think she's getting nominated for Best Actress, I got a bridge to sell you.
And if you go in black, all white, I'm even when they talking about the male female thing when we talked about Lady Bird last year. I really was not on the train with Lady Bird and everyone was saying Little Women. I'm sorry, I wasn't on that train. I didn't think that you deserved an Oscar nomination for what you did in that movie. And so I think a lot of times Oscar gets it right more than wrong. Yeah. And I've said that before.
Yeah, I just say that the black woman in the leading role, it's tough. Like, it's tough. You have Viola Davis in The Widows, but Widows didn't perform that well.
Well, I think that's part of my issue with looking at the award space at all, because it's not about, you got to have the right performance with the right box office, with the right buzz. Sometimes it's just too much, man. I listen to colleagues sometimes and go, I mean, I got eyes and a brain, and some of that stuff doesn't work for me. It's not working for me.
But in the case of black women, it's not about that. It's just they don't get enough roles.
No, but I'm talking about Shawn in general, man. I'm talking about, like, I've sat at Middleburg, which is a film festival we have here, which is kind of the last major festival
Yeah,
for the
but
award season.
film festival buzz is always fake.
Well, and there's something to be said about that. I call it the film festival bubble. That you feel a certain way at a festival, and then as soon as you leave the fest, it's like so. So I think there's something to that. But I'm saying, like, think about Toronto, Shawn. We're in Toronto, and you're watching these movies, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Dolomite, all of these films that we.
I told people when none of those winning nothing. They was on drugs. Like they get too hyped, and especially now that everybody's got a Twitter account, everybody wants to be that first person to be like, "Oh my God, this movie!" Like, nah, this is not happening.
I mean, there's something to be said. I agree with you, man. I mean, but I still have issues with the award space running. You're at AFCA, I'm running WAFCA. Black Real Awards. We're voting for the Critics' Choice Awards. I mean, so we're all in this space, man, voting on these awards every year. And I just look at and listen to colleagues and some of the things that they like and the reasons that they like them. And sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree. I'm like, Roma was not one of my favorite films a couple of years ago. I'm just being real about that.
Yeah. But no, it's just like this year, though. I'm trying to get everybody's jumping up and down about The Five Bloods. I'm like, The Five Bloods is a great movie, but it's just going to have to be a great movie. It's like,
So you're not falling for the Delroy Lindo push?
No.
Love that face.
No, it was fantastic.
It was.
There's nothing wrong with being fantastic in the movie. It was a hell of a performance. He may have an outside chance at getting nominated, but they pushed the date. They pushed the date back to April, which essentially means that The Five Bloods came out in February or January. So, is that really going to be remembered when people cast ballots? It was an okay performance. It was really good, but I mean, it's not earth-shattering, end of the world. I've never seen anything like it performance.
Shawn's not a fan.
No, I'm a fan. I said it's a great.
Teasing you, man.
There's nothing wrong with delivering a great performance in a very good movie. It's just like, but you gotta,
I think eyes are on Spike Lee. Oscar eyes are on Spike Lee more, so that everything that he's doing lately is going to get a little more scrutiny when it comes time for voting. So there's an outside chance of Lindo.
That's a great way to say it. There's an outside chance Delroy Lindo could get nominated. No, he's not the lead, but there's an outside chance he could get nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
So, Shawn, explain this to me because this is more for our audience than for me, right? When you are sitting around screening films and you're trying to put together these lists that we come up with every year, your top 10 films and films that you're going to vote for and performances, what is the criteria that you're looking for to find 5 performances either in a male or female space that you're going to nominate? What are you looking for from these 5 performances that you're going to stick in there?
Man, the first thing is just the emotion. Like, did it produce any sort of emotion while you were watching? Like, and then, what were they working with? What were they delivering? It just depends. It's emotion. Something like seeing the trailer of Respect and you see Jennifer Hudson as Aretha. There's that automatic visceral effect. Like, oh, okay. This might be it, so it starts with that. Then you look at the execution, how difficult was it? I mean, that's just me. I know this doesn't play out because how else does Emma Stone win Oscar for Best Actress when she's in a musical and she can't sing or dance? So just, sometimes it just,
Emma Stone's on hold. She said she want to talk to you later, Shawn.
Who?
Emma Stone.
Who? Oh, man. She talked to me. She can't sing. You saw La La Land. She was okay. But did she blow you away with her singing? No. Was she a gifted dancer? No.
But she wasn't supposed to. She wasn't a singer in the movie. She wasn't a singer.
I know, but you in a movie musical, though. I get it. But still, though, it just depends, though. I mean, it depends on the difficulty of the role, man. It's The hardest part about being a film critic is not getting caught up in just following the herd.
True.
So many people are scared to just make, different choices, man. You can always tell. You can always tell, man. That's why I get into fights with Wilson. I'm like, man, you just following the herd, dude. I don't want to hear these fanboy picks. Too many people follow they develop this consensus because everybody wants to be right. So they form this consensus where you can't go wrong. You know,
well, I think part of my issue with it is not necessarily just consensus, but taking the films that we love as people of color. I've sat in rooms, Shawn, with film critics, colleagues who've never seen Shaft, Cooley High, or any other film.
They should be fired.
No, I'm being real. I mean, they don't watch black film, and Charles is looking at my face. I'm like, when I'm voting and I'm looking at a ballot, I'm thinking about films in totality. So you looking at all the white performances, I'm looking at all the performances, black, white. Yeah, man, it's crazy to me, man.
They should be fired because we got to sit through everything. They got I met a lot of people like that who haven't seen a lot of stuff. Like,
what is Claudine? What do you mean? Yeah. What is Claudine? It's a movie. Go back and watch it. So doing this Black Lives Matters piece where, you've got, Netflix and Amazon putting a lot of these older films on, I tell people every week, like, go find Black Lives Matters and watch some movies, man. You might be surprised.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, although I'm getting a little tired of that now, though. It was fun at first.
What is wrong? What is wrong with Black Lives Matter series, man? You're doing a Wilson, man. Don't do it. Don't fall into Wilson.
What's wrong with it is that a lot of these movies are things that people should have seen already.
That's my thing. Yeah, I just didn't know how to articulate that. That's it. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I just didn't know how to articulate it. Yeah, it just feels like, dang.
But
really?
Shawn, to my point, Charles, to my point. These are movies that I watch it. There's nothing new to see. I've seen these movies already. It's new to you.
What did Wilson say about the list?
What, black? Nothing controversial. Something very safe, probably. Wilson. No, I mean Wilson is a good dude, man. I mean, let's be real, man. Wilson.
I was just interested. I was just interested in what he said about it.
No, we didn't ask him about that one, man. I mean, you were saying that you had issues.
No, it's nothing wrong with the list. It's nothing wrong with the list. I just wish people had already watched this stuff. That's cool. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
so before we let you go, man, what are you doing for this anniversary, man? I mean, you're a young man still. What else is there out there to scale? You got a movie you producing? Just keep working, man. You gotta just keep working. I'm not doing anything special. Well, you can't really do anything special because the pandemic is like real. So, if it wasn't a pandemic, we might have like a mini festival, some events, maybe a little get together, But you just gotta keep it moving. Probably. I don't know. I'll probably do a TV thing a couple more years and just, I'm probably gonna spend most of my time. I'm gonna wrap it up. Spend most of my time at Hidden Empire. That's what I was about to say, man. That's another thing, man. Another groundbreaking move. Hidden Empire. Talk about what you're doing over at Hidden Empire, man.
Man, I'm just working over there, man, learning the ropes with Deion Taylor and Roxanne. They started the company. Deion Taylor, Roxanne Taylor. They're married power couple. Deion's the director. Roxanne's the producer. I mean, they're putting out legit stuff, man. So I'm just kind of like learning the process from beginning to end, man. It's crazy. It's a business, man. It's a for real business. So just trying to learn that and just try to open the door for some people to get in and just kind of like kind of create a new little sort of independent film movement because they're still independent, but they get major studio distribution. So that's kind of like the smart way to do it. And so. They work in conjunction with Robert Smith.
I've been telling Tim, Deion Taylor is one of my fan. I'm a fan of Deion Taylor. The way he's started and where he keeps progressing and everything that he's doing, man. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah,
Good dude.
Yeah, he seems to be doing it. He seems to be doing it the right way, where he's sticking to what he knows, but progressing at the same time instead of going after that big carrot that kind of sinks you. Like a lot of directors do that, man. Like they get tossed something that's out of their wheelhouse. Ava DuVernay's dope, but she doesn't go on time. Just do like 5 middle of nowheres, but make each one bigger and better. You know what I mean? Like like I said earlier about stay in your lane, but just elevate within your lane. Because sometimes when you get out of your lane, it's like, it'll eat you alive. So yeah, I'm kind of proud of Deion that he's kind of staying in his lane, but he's elevating at the same time. Nah, man, don't go direct Blade Runner 2. Those are booby trap movies, man. It's like, man, those are the checks are big, but man, those are booby trap movies, man. They get you every time. So stay in that, do what you do, and you be all right, man. Ask Tim's story, man. Remember he was hot, and then what did he do? What was that?
Fantastic Four Silver Surfer.
In your lane. You know who else has done a good job of staying in that lane?
Who?
Malcolm Lee.
Oh, he has. He stays in the pocket. He doesn't stray too far. But let me say this, man. Wrinkle in Time, they tried to make that film twice, man. It's just there's some stories, Shawn, that it just don't translate well from the page to the screen.
Dude, when I first heard she signed on to do that, I was like, no, there's no way you can win with that.
But let me give you a funny story, man, Shawn and Charles. I was at a movie at AFI one night, and a local filmmaker of ours introduced me to her girlfriend. Her girlfriend was one of the producers of Wrinkle in Time. So before she can tell me who she was, she asked me, "What'd you think about the movie?" I said, "It was horrible." She said, my girlfriend produced it. I said, "Oh, it was horrible." So I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "Doesn't the producer, aren't you responsible for hiring the director?" She said, "Yeah." I said,
"Yeah."
And you hired, I said, "What did Ava tell you that made you hire her?" She said, "Ava came in and gave us a pitch, and then she said Ava rewrote a bunch of stuff." And I said, "Okay, my hand, because I understand the process. That's what it is. You are as responsible as she is if you couldn't rein her in to help bring that story to fruition." But it's a hard story to film, man. It's not the first.
Why didn't you ask the producer? Why did the producer want to make it?
Good question. I think it was a book she liked a lot, and wanted to bring that book to the screen. I mean,
man, it's books and stories I like a lot that I know would never make a good film.
Right.
Right. There's so much history in Kansas City, Black history in Kansas City, I would love to make, but it wouldn't make sense. Because people are always like, why has there ever been a movie about the Negro Leagues? I'm like, you can't make that movie in 2020.
Well, they made Bingo Long, which was Barry Gordy's kind of takeoff of the Negro Leagues.
It's based more on the Indianapolis Clowns than anything else. They were like the barnstorming circus type.
Right.
But like a thorough movie about the Negroes is not going to happen. Like, it's
not. Where would your focus be if you were trying to do it? I mean, it's not.
Well, my focus would be on the founders. What is it? Is it Rube Foster and that?
Yeah, but that would be boring. Is that interesting?
Well, I'm saying that you put some arc into it, man. Of course, it would be. I'm not going to say inspired by. It'd be based on, because inspired by means that I could do what Self-Made did, which pissed me off earlier this spring. Yeah, really, Sean?
That movie was bad.
It was bad, man. All right, before I let you go, man, one last question for you, Shawn. Hamilton. I'm getting ready to review it in a moment, man. What'd you think about Hamilton?
I mean, from an artistic or from a business standpoint?
Let
me just say, the business move Disney just dropped is another reason theatrical experience is in trouble. Because that was a gangster move.
Yeah, that movie's supposed to be released like next October 21.
But they moved it up. But the whole fact that I don't think people realize that every Broadway musical is recorded just so they can have it for the archives anyway.
Right.
But to do something that you always do and then turn it into this experience so you can build up your subscribership and deliver a bunch of eyeballs on your service, it's just, and then they dropped it on the 4th of July, moved it to the 4th of July holiday, and it's just a gangster move. I mean, the musical's incredible. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime. Everything about it's right. everything, the execution of it's right, the way it's written is right, the music is right. It's one of those rare instances where everything comes together and it just works. And you see that and the way they captured it by using the 6 different cameras. I mean, it's not like being there, of course, because it's a musical, so it works better in person. But the way they captured it, I mean, there's nothing bad about it. Like, what's bad? It works. The songs are hella dope. It works. What's bad? I mean, the only thing is I keep telling people it's not a movie. It's a recording of a musical, but it's not a movie. But it's
the closest we've gotten to having a July 4th blockbuster. Because we just haven't had it in years prior even. But
nope,
I think, like you said, the Mouse House is gangster, and they're doing this to just increase their readership or viewership or whatever. It's a dope move, and so you can't be mad at it. You can't be mad at it.
If you're AMC or Regal or Cinemark,
your jaws are tight.
You know who they are right now? They like that band on the Titanic, on the second half of the VH.
Keep playing.
They like keep playing. All right. At some point, you got to go. Like, no, I mean, dude, what are they going to? Okay, most people in the civilized world have now been on lockdown for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
Like, no matter where you're talking. Dude, these new habits are set. People will stream in a heartbeat now.
Well, let me tell you what the real gangster move would be. Let's say we are still in this place and it's the end of or middle of August, and Disney announces Black Widow is dropping on Labor Day weekend on Disney Plus. I told you, Charles, on this show about 2 months ago. No. But listen. Think about the screens. How many subscribers they would bring if people started understanding. You don't think eyeballs would come to Disney Plus?
Not August. If this pandemic rolls into Thanksgiving, you're gonna see a lot of changes. But not August. Okay.
Not yet. So let's fast forward and use Thanksgiving.
Christmas. It could make a good Christmas dropping. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it this early.
Not August. You gotta have some more dates getting eaten up by Corona. Like if movie theaters and consumer confidence doesn't come back. Like if they lose like August, September, October, November. Oh man, you're gonna see all kind of titles drop in December because they just can't blow out a whole year like that. But August may be too soon. But maybe not for Mulan. They might drop Mulan on Disney Plus. I can see Mulan happen before Black Widow. It's too many people got to sign off on Black Widow because you got to have Disney sign off, you got to have Marvel sign off. That's too much. Yeah, that's why Hamilton was easy. They had already sold the rights to Disney anyway, so Disney like we can do what we want to do. The Black Widow's a different thing. It's a lot of sign offs on that. I don't know if Kevin Feige would go for that either.
All right. Well, Shawn, brother, congratulations, man.
Thanks. Mulan's coming soon. They've been sitting on that one for a minute.
You know, much props to my friend, my colleague,
thanks a lot, my
brother.
Man. Appreciate you.
I definitely wanted to have you on, man, because the conversation's always intelligent, man. You are always fun.
Appreciate it.
And you're gonna say something crazy that's gonna make me laugh. That's what you do.
Y'all kill me at the beginning, man. Y'all, what my grandparents used to say, you put the horse before the cart. Like, first you gotta see if the season gonna happen.
Oh, there ain't no season this year, bro. Well, go ahead, man. I'm gonna go and finish talking about this Hamilton situation before we run out of time again.
All right, man.
Hey, Shawn, we'll be in touch, bro. I'll give you a call later because I'm still waiting for some material from you that you have yet to give me.
Oh, dude. Okay, I got you. I ain't doing nothing all weekend, so I'll hit you up. Hit me up. Let me know.
Will do, sir.
I gotta be safe, man.
Hamilton, baby.
I'm gonna go right now. All right.
All right.
All right. Of course, that was Shawn Edwards from Fox 4 in Kansas City, working at Hidden Empire. Shawn is doing a bunch of stuff, man. But let's jump to the case. Did you watch Hamilton yet?
I've seen Hamilton, of course.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about Hamilton. All right, as Shawn said, I totally agree with him. I think, to me, the genius of Disney dropping this film on this weekend, on all holidays matter weekend, is the fact that of what it represents, because it tells a three-dimensional story that of Alexander Hamilton. And I remember years ago going on YouTube, watching a clip of creator, is it Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Yes.
Yeah, at the White House for National Poetry Night. And he stood up in front of the president and first lady and said, hey, man, I'm working on this piece for a new hip hop album, this concept album. And it's about a guy that I think embodies hip hop. First Treasury Secretary, Alexander Hamilton. And everybody in the room fell out laughing, right? And he drops the opening song, which kind of talks about who Alexander Hamilton is from the perspective of Aaron Burr. I thought it was genius when I saw it. So when Hamilton became this international, worldwide phenomenon, I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. So I had heard the soundtrack for years, but I had never watched them perform it on stage until a couple of nights ago when I got a chance to screen it. And I'll just say, man, listening to it, Charles, for years, and to watch what he's done and how that story is executed, and as Shawn said, having the 6 cameras, I just think, even at home watching it, it is probably, of all the theater I've ever seen in my life, and I'm not saying that I'm a theater critic, but I've seen a lot of theater. That is probably the best musical I've ever seen. It, from start to finish, the songs all work, because you've heard me tell you that if you got crappy songs, you got a crappy musical, right? And, you start off with, how can a bastard, orphan, son of a whore? I'm like, wow, it grabs your attention immediately, and then it never lets you go. I'm not going to blow my shot. You've got King George who comes on in these little small vignettes with these songs. Now, you got to remember, conceived, written, directed, not directed, but he wrote all of the music, all of the songs, is all him. And this all based, Charles, when he was going on vacation years earlier and he wanted some reading material. So he picked up the autobiography of Alexander Hamilton as beach reading. And he was inspired as his mind worked, like, man, I could turn this into something. It is just the most amazing thing I've ever seen, man. And I've seen a lot of art, but that one blew me away. By the time it was over, I was almost in tears. That last, well, I'm not gonna blow it for people who haven't seen it, but that last song just kills me, man. And it makes you think about your own mortality. It makes you think about your own legacy. Man, Hamilton is a triumph. It really is. It is absolutely great. Charles.
What do you want me to say?
Something. Something.
We said already that the Mouse House is incredible for doing this, and it's kind of bittersweet that they're streaming this, because it was supposed to have been playing at the Kennedy Center right now, and I was looking forward to sitting in the Kennedy Center and seeing this live. And there's just something that can be said for seeing a play like this live. Right. I think they do a good job of capturing the feel, the emotion of what happens on stage, and they do a good job of it. But there's still something that can be said for seeing the play live. And so this is a close representation. I think it's worth seeing. I think this is, again, one of the best musicals I've ever seen. Hamilton. A+, and you can't go wrong by watching it on Disney Plus. But don't sacrifice, and this is kind of a problem I have, is that by opening this avenue, by making this a streaming opportunity, it gives a lot of people the opportunity to see it where they wouldn't have seen it. But see it in the theaters. It's worth seeing. It's worth seeing.
Well, before in closing, what I'm still looking for is the Hamilton movie. I think about Les Miserables, you know, with Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe. And I would love to see the original cast come back for them to build sets and Disney do what Disney does and let them make a full blown out Alexander Hamilton movie. And I think that would be great with the exact same songs, the exact same story. And knowing Disney, you know they're going to do it anyway, man, because all we do is repurpose content and then give it to a different generation. And the movie will work whether it happens in 2022, 23, 24, 25. It doesn't matter. The movie's going to be a hit, mega hit, whenever they drop
it. Les Miserables had 3 shots at a movie, so the last one was the best one.
Yeah.
So again, it's all about who backs it and what they do with it.
Right. All right, Charles, we're going to get out of here, man. You know, Shawn Edwards, Wilson Morales, I want to thank both of those guys for coming on. Shane Lewis is going to finish doing what he does to every episode every week. So for our folks at DC Radio, our folks at Keeping It Real with Film Gordon, you know, the Tim and Charles Collective, we continue to roll on with 406, and we'll be back next week, man, with more of The Big Show. Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. As we tell you guys every week, see something good at the movies. You know what it is. Ain't a lot of movies out there. Just, you know what it is. Until then, you guys take care, man. Peace.